Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of XSGaming Podcast. This is episode 139, and I'm one of your hosts, Xander Skullion, and joined with me is wonderful, the Tiger King himself. Nah, not really, but he's close to it. This is James Gruesome. What's up, James?
I'll tell you one thing. I saw a tiger, now understand. I saw a tiger. Tiger saw, man. Free Joe Exotic, man. That's all I'm saying. I might be the kitty king, not quite the tiger king. A little bit crazy to have, but man, I tell you, Joe Exotic is somebody we really kind of needed during all these times.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
funny how he's encapsulated and just enraptured everybody in this crazy story. And it's just one of the many things going on lately in this wild world. And I hope everyone is safe and well. And we know it's been a little while. But, we knew we had to get an episode out because there's lots of people at home. And, hopefully you guys, will be listening to this and checking it out. And it'll give you guys something to do. But I hope all you guys are okay and doing the best you can during this crazy, crazy time.
Indeed. And, yeah, we were talking about Tiger King before we did the show. And I think that's a show that everyone's talking about. If you guys have not watched Tiger King on Netflix, get on it. It's freaking awesome. It's probably one of the best documentaries I've seen in quite some time. And I was telling you, James, before we started the show that my girlfriend and I finished Tiger King, and then she was like, all right, I'm ready for the kids to watch Tiger King, because the oldest, he's like 11, he was asking about Tiger King. And the other night, actually last night, she had them stay up as long as they wanted to, but they had to watch all 7 episodes of Tiger King. And they did, and it was hilarious, because after every episode, they had their own review that they would come in. And the best one was the 11-year-old when he came in, and he goes, "Carol is a B word." And I'm like, he is so right. He is so right. But yeah, guys, definitely check out Tiger King if you haven't already. And after you're done with that, listen to some Joe Exotic music videos on YouTube. The guy actually has a really good voice. Let's get that right.
That was a sample of what I just gave you all. Unfortunately, though, upon looking into it, it's actually not Joe Exotic singing, which many could probably tell by the way he actually kind of talks like this, But apparently he paid some guys, to do it. But I still give him credit.
Oh, that's terrible.
Well, he's still doing these videos. He's just like Milli Vanilli. Come on, he's a simple man just trying to love his tigers, and but they're still very entertaining. He's a very enrapturing man. Like, you can almost see how he ended up getting 2 straight guys to marry him. You just suck them in. He might have had a little meth going on with it too. But hey, I don't judge people for what they do. I'm not saying Joe Exotic is a completely good person. I think some of the things he probably did were wrong. But I think he can be a little misjudged, and sometimes I think some people like this, their heart is in the right place. And he's one of a couple of tiger people. The main focus is on him, but the other one's the Carol, also a wacko, and the other guy, he's got that weird I forget what he calls himself. He made up some name, but he's the weird doctor guy with the soul patch who actually lately, that's the guy that Undertaker has been doing ads for. Undertaker and his wife visited his park. And,
oh, wow.
He's been doing ads for him lately, just kind of advertising, talking about, saving tigers, which is always great. But that guy, I think, is a little worse, because he seems to be grooming young girls in the process of when they work there. I think he's a little bit worse, and he kind of gets away with it all. But they are all extremely weird people. I was a fan of the drug kingpin, which Scarface may or may not be based on. We don't know, and I kind of blame the movie Scarface, though, for popularizing people owning tigers. Anybody from Mike Tyson, and personally, like I said, I don't think these are animals people should own at their houses. As at least Joe Exotic and these guys do have big parks for them to live in, and a lot of them are rescued. And it brings up things of illegal, breeding. You find out things about the ligers. Everybody remembers ligers from Napoleon Dynamite, right?
Yeah.
Ligers are artificially bred, because that doesn't happen in real life. So creatures like that, those animals are on different continents. They're not going to naturally breed. But then you'll have a liger bred with another tiger, and this is stuff done in captivity. And sometimes these animals don't have a good life because they're not meant to be made. really.
Yeah.
But you do learn a lot, and like I said, this documentary. It's funny, it's enrapturing, it's sad. You learn a lot, and then maybe at the end, some people maybe you can find a real good big cat rescue or just any kind of animal rescue you believe in and support. But it's just straight up insane. And like I said, during these times of we all know things are going on with this situation, and it's just very nice people have an escape. I think because so many people are caught at home, and this one it's captured everybody. I can only imagine how many marriage offers Mr. Exotic is getting in prison, and just letters that people are writing. Like if he gets out, man, he's just gonna be like the man. He tried running for president before. He could win.
Yeah, I mean, he almost became governor of Oklahoma.
He could win presidency after everything going on now. It's very possible. Don't doubt it. But yeah, definitely check it out. So many people have free time going on, and it's at least watch one episode. Like if you don't like the first episode, or maybe give it two. But if you don't find something interesting in there, it's crazy.
the thing about that show, and this kind of goes back to the video games in a weird way, is when I was watching it, the main premises of the show is people that are owning these big tigers, and kind of how they get this whole rivalry going on. And I was like, man, this is almost as crazy as what I see with like the retro gaming community in some aspects, because when you think about when you start going down the rabbit hole of like retro gamers and YouTube and all that stuff, the premises is about video games, collecting video games or talking about video games, but there's so much more to it. There's like onions of layers of stuff that peels, and that's kind of like what I saw with Tiger King. And it was like really weird how I saw that. I was like, man, something so basic turns into something so much more than just what it is. And I thought that was crazy, like when I was watching it.
No, that is. It's in many cases with many things in life, it's kind of like who's got the bigger D contest.
Yeah.
It's like, who's got the more of this? Who cares more? Who loves more? It's like in anything in life,
Mm-hmm.
At the end, just love what you do, and sometimes don't worry about the other people. If you're having fun, that's the biggest part of it.
Exactly. Now, there has been some gaming news since our last episode. A lot of gaming news, but some of the biggest highlights I was looking at was they actually had a PlayStation 5 conference, I believe, a week ago, talking about, it was like the road to PS5, and I was one of those kind of people that I was expecting a little bit more of it. Some people, like, they were like telling folks, yeah, we knew this was just going to be a tech conference. I thought it was going to be something a little bit more. So I felt kind of bad because, the kids are out of school. So I told the kids, because it was like 12 in the afternoon, and they had been up for a little while. And I'm like, hey, kids, you want to see what the PS5 looks like? They're like, oh, yeah. Like, let's watch this. And we started watching it. And it was like an hour of just tech talk. Now, the tech talk was really, really good. Like some of the stuff they were talking about, I was like, wow, this is awesome. But of course, for like the kids, they were like most of us, they wanted to see what the console looked like. They were wanting to see some of the games, and that's not what this conference was. So it was kind of funny, like the first 15 minutes they're watching it, and then like they slowly started getting up and walking away. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. The oldest one stayed for the longest, but I still had to explain certain things to him. But he was really interested into it. But
he was trying. That sounds like me. I'd be like, I'm just gonna watch Tiger King again.
He was asking me, some of the things they were talking about, because they're talking about teraflops and the SSD hard drives, and it's really interesting stuff. It seems like the PS5, one of the biggest takeaways that I got from it is they're trying to really take away load times, which is kind of funny. It's been kind of like the closet bane of all the previous generations is load times. I mean, we've gotten used to it, but I remember back when the PlayStation 1 first came out and the Sega Saturn, that was one of the concerns that people talked about, and that was one of the things that I remember people buying the N64. They're like, I don't have to worry about load times. And now it's become such a norm, and now it's like, okay, our load times are so fast that, what would take about 10, 15 seconds is taking 2 seconds on the PS5, which is crazy.
Yeah, it really goes back. 'Cause, I mean, like if you go back, many retro gamers to whatever system you go to know if you go back and pop in old games, that really can take a toll. When you're wanting to
Yeah.
play something because we are so used to what they're like now. Even though we still have to wait, but you go back to them old ones, and sometimes it's just like, man, and like
Yeah.
sometimes it's just loading up for just some like stupid thing that you don't even want to see, and it's like, oh man, like this is brutal. Which, like you said, the 64, we lost some function. We didn't have that, real video capability that at the end wasn't really all that great. Sometimes, like, I'd rather just skip the load time than have some, video screen going on.
Yeah, and especially if you go back to like the old like PS1 games. The one game that I think of off the top of my head is like Legacy Kane Blood Omen. The game had really long load times, and sometimes it would just load randomly. And it's like one of those things. Like I'm pretty sure back then, being so foreign to the concept for console gamers of what loading is, and then like seeing that, and now we're like used to loading. We're like, yeah, or we're even used to installing games now.
Oh yeah, that's the big thing now. Is waiting on the install instead of load time. We still kind of gave up something for another thing.
Yeah. So I mean, it's really interesting what they're doing with that. They did say that so far the PlayStation 5, the release date's still supposed to be coming out in the holidays. They said despite the coronavirus and everything that's been going on, they said that there's no signs of delaying the PS5, so that's good. And also like Xbox, Series X. Microsoft just released that they're releasing proprietary memory cards. So this is interesting. So pretty much the the Xbox Series X is going to have its own like 1 terabyte SSD memory cards that you can use to expand the memory on the Xbox One Series X. So far, the Xbox Series X is going to be backwards. I know it's such a
Can we call it like an Xbox 3 or 4?
yeah, I know it's such a tongue twister, but so far it is backwards compatible with all previous Xbox consoles, and you can save. But they said if you want to save Series X games, you have to use a proprietary memory card for it. So. And the thing about it is too, I know a lot of people are like, "Well, Sony's not going to do that." Well, Sony actually had a patent. I don't think you remember this a couple months ago. You remember when Sony had a patent for this like cartridge kind of thing that everyone was talking about?
Yeah.
Apparently, that could also be a proprietary memory card for the PlayStation 5. So it looks like this is probably going to be the way that they're going to be putting out these new home consoles and cutting a little bit of cost. And it's interesting that they're going back to memory cards. But yeah, that's so weird. I'm just wondering how much they're going to be,
Yeah, that's my thing because it's like, well, don't save on the cost of console, then stick me with, we remember PSP memory cards even.
The Vita. Oh my god.
Oh, I'm sorry, the Vita. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Notoriously pricey. Man, wow, just one of the most expensive ones. Eventually, you could find some that were a bit less. That's the thing. It's like, I'd almost rather pay an extra 100 up front on the system, for more memory or whatever, than having to pay another 100 for a memory card. That's the thing. Like, it seems like a semi archaic thing at this point, though. Many people, no matter what age you are, you grew up with some form of memory card. You've seen one. They've been there. But yeah, I don't want to get stuck with another like super high cost on that.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. I'm just curious to see how it all pans out. Things could always change. Holiday's not that far away. Both systems. Myself, I'm very proud for the first time, and I don't know how long, I'm actually getting a tax return, which I am planning on just saving most of that. But it's nice to know that when these systems come out, like, hey man, I might actually get one. I don't know which one yet. I'm still waiting and, just seeing, who's going to have the better launch. There's that whole thing with the titles where, was it with the Xbox One X, X7, X6, that they're going to have, the games might come out for the old system, first, and then they'll come out, that whole thing with like a time release. That's not really the right word, but you know what I'm saying, where it's like it's kind of cool that a new game you might be able to play on an old system, but they might not have any completely exclusive games for a while, which that's what people usually go for on launch. Unless you just have a lot of ease of system, or either people are I don't mean this in a bad way, but Xbox fanboys, PS fanboys, that's just your system. That's what
Yeah,
that is, and that's
exactly.
okay. And so you might jump with that, from the start. But these, the launch games are always usually what leads people into, getting it. Hey, kitten, jumping into the system right away. I'm the kitten king, and jumping the system right away, or waiting a little bit. So that's all I'm really, waiting for at that time, is to see what everything is really going to look like.
Yeah, that's kind of how I am when it comes to consoles. Like I understand both consoles are going to be so super powerful. I'm more concerned about price, how the price is going to be for the two consoles. Is one going to be more than the other, and of course exclusives and backwards compatibility.
Yeah, I don't care how much you make, dude. Like a five with the system's $500. Like that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
To me, to you, to many people. Like if that, hey man, more power to you if that's not a lot of money for you, but it's definitely something to look at. When these systems, jump into, like I said, is that price.
And it's an investment too. I mean, think of how many times that people have bought brand new consoles on launch day and it turned into a paperweight. Not saying that the PS5 and the new Xbox is going to do that, but I mean, think about some of the past consoles like the 3DO, or even like things like the Sega Saturn. People that bought that on launch and it didn't turn out the way it wanted to be. Or think about the consoles that had problems when it first came out. It's just such an investment to throw down, that much money on a brand new console and hope for the best.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that nowadays we know every system is going to have a second version.
Yeah.
It's going to be better. That happens to every single one. It's just, how bad do you want it on that launch? What is available, and is it worth it to you? And I'm sure a lot of these systems, and people have learned. I'd like to see them put out the maximum product on day one, but that's typically not going to be the case, and there's going to be another version later on. So it's how bad do you want it? And hey man, I support you if you want to get it day one, because like I said, I might actually do that, because I haven't got any of the systems day one in a long time. And being able to, it's going to make me think about it a little bit more. But I'm also, like I said, thinking about everything else that goes along with it, because all the problems are going to be in the first one. Everything will be fixed in the second.
Yeah, and I mean, look at the Switch. I mean, look at from the Wii U to the Switch. The Switch was a huge gamble for many people. I mean, myself included. I was kind of on the fence about the Switch, because as much as I love the Wii U, I was like, did Nintendo learn from the Wii U? Are they gonna like take those experiences to a whole new level? And thankfully they did. I mean, the Switch has been outselling so much, and right now it's in a shortage. I mean, everyone's been playing Animal Crossing. It's been crazy, but that's something you always got to think of. And I think, in my opinion, I have a lot of faith towards Microsoft. And the reason why I do is because you notice there's kind of a cycle that happens with consoles. You have the good console, and then the predecessor usually isn't as good as the one previous, and then they come out with another one that's even better. Good example would be like Sony. Like you had the PS1, PS2. PS3 was okay. Then PS4 they turned it around, and with the Xbox, Xbox 360 was amazing. I love the Xbox 360. Xbox One, I can live without it. But this new one, I'm like, I feel like they're coming back with vengeance. Like sometimes I feel like the companies have to fail a little bit to get that creative spark going in, and I could see that with Microsoft. So I'm hoping with these proprietary memory cards, they don't slip up and mess up, because so far the Series X looks pretty awesome, being completely backwards compatible from the original Xbox to the latest Xbox One.
Now, did they announce? Because that's the one thing that's still brought up in a little bit of question with the backwards compatibility. Is it backwards compatible with everything it's been backwards compatible with before? It's not like a total backwards compatibility.
Well, with the Xbox, it looks like it's going to be. Now, I know with PS5, when they had that press conference, so far it's only going to be backwards compatible with PS4. And they said that at launch it's going to have the first 100 titles, like big titles. First 100 big titles will be backwards compatible, and probably update throughout.
Yeah, because that's one thing, I always love backwards compatibility. It's huge to me. And I know earlier on, and like I said, there is a good amount of, games from original to 360 that are playable. And, I know at least those will be. And, who knows if people will pop in, raw 2 on Xbox and it'll play. That one I'm not completely sure about, but at least everything that is there, will be. We do know that something, we'll both need to check into a little bit more because people love that. Now, I think full PS4 backwards compatibility, that on its own is very awesome. At least both of these systems doing that, with the former, because there are so many games out there that people haven't played, and I think that's cool. But that's always just been a huge factor. I love that, even with the 3DS being able to play DS, or the SP with the GBA, Game Boy Color. I love that, man, because all of us have these old games laying around that we want to play. I just wish there was something to get around, because so many times you find it's like licensing issues. Mm-hmm. That's why I can't play RoboCop on Xbox OG. Not that I really want to, but I have it, and I would if I could, but I can't right now. And I'm still a big fan of Xbox too. With me getting one, like I said, I love. I think Game Pass is awesome. The Game Share has still been one of my favorite features, I think, in a system ever. It's like, got a good friend, you both go in, one of you gets a game, one of you, you can trade off and get it. And I heard they're keeping that, which is awesome. And that, would make me lean a little bit more towards them, in the long run. Because, you can save a lot of money. Like I said, you've got a good friend you can do that with. It's absolutely great,
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like you mentioned all these old games, and I'm thinking when you were mentioning it, I'm thinking like, man, there's games back from 2017, 2016 that I still haven't had a chance to check out yet. And I mean, the last couple of years have just been a complete banger when it comes to coming out with so many video games. I mean, there's so many games I'm thinking about that, when the PS5 and new Xbox comes out, I mean, even if I don't have the means to get it, that's okay, because there's so much stuff to check out. And it's a pretty exciting time, because usually when new consoles start coming out, they start to kind of drought out the previous console to kind of push consumers to the newer console, be like, we're not coming out with as many releases, but man, there's no shortage of releases. That's for sure. It's crazy.
No, and having that backwards compatibility function, I think, really helps, because at least they know if they have a new game, they don't have to short, the people that are still having, the older, or actually, at the moment, current systems, they don't have to short them out. They can still put out a game. And if you can play it on the new systems, that's just more people to play the game. It's just a very valuable function. Now, for some reason, a lot of systems, I think, just kind of, ignored or pushed on the back burner, when that's something that I think people really want more than anything. We want to be able to play the old games we have and not have to sell them or just let them sit and collect dust, or plug in have 3 friggin' systems plugged up. We don't want to do that.
And here's something really cool. Something cool that the folks behind Cyberpunk's doing is, if you get Cyberpunk, now we all know Cyberpunk got delayed until September, but if you get Cyberpunk for the Xbox One, then when they come out with the Series X, you get a free upgrade to play it on the brand new Xbox. I was like, whoa, that's something I've never heard before. Usually, I mean, it made me think of the beginning of this gen, when we went from the PS3 to PS4 and the Xbox 360 to Xbox One. We had all these HD remasters, and it was just like, they had all these games that were less than a year old, that were like, oh, this came out for PS3 last year, but now you can get the HD remaster on PS4. These guys are like, hey, we'll upgrade it for free. Here you go. Here's the definitive version. All you had to do is just support us back in September. That is freaking awesome. You don't have to spend another 60 bones, because I know some people would do it. Some people would spend another $60 to play on the new Xbox, especially a game like to this caliber.
And even if they give it to us at a $40, which I think some, not all, but I think some remasters even came out at $40, where it's I'd rather pay $20 because I probably have this on something else, but like you said, with a free upgrade on it, I mean, that's just, that's really showing. I mean, that's a good wave of the future. It's something we definitely needed to see, change, so people don't have to buy, the same, people can say that with Nintendo, like, man, how many times we bought the same game on this virtual console when we should have been able to transfer it over. That's something I really wish, Nintendo would have done themselves too. But to see things like this finally happen, it is still very awesome. And just to know that, hey, you can, like you said, you can support this company. You can not have to buy this game again later on, for, either the same price tag or just a small discount, and to get the better effects, that they'll support you if you support them, which is very cool to see.
Indeed. And last little bit of news is there was a Nintendo Mini Direct that happened just a couple of days ago from us recording this, and it was like a pretty good little Direct. Like, it wasn't anything too crazy. The last thing they showed, a lot of people were thinking it might have been like Breath of the Wild, but the last thing they showed was some DLC for Pokemon Sword and Shield. They announced the DLC for Animal Crossing, which is going to be Bunny Day on Easter, because Animal Crossing celebrates all the holidays, so that's something that's going to come out. And also, Xenoblade Chronicles, the Definitive Edition, is going to have an extra episode to it. And they also released the Panzer Dragoon remake. And I actually got that. It's really, really good. But and also a Bravery Default 2 demo, which I haven't had a chance to check out yet. But it was a little different. It was a little direct. But it was something like I felt like a lot of people needed. A lot of people needed something like that. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's cool to put that out, around this time, and seeing that Panzer Dragoon, it's always a cool game. I remember getting to play it on my Saturn. I had one of the flight controllers.
Oh yeah,
that was very fun to play with that. I actually sent those. I'd given a lot of my Saturn controllers to my brother. And some parts of some I gave away, and some were like a deal we'd made and selling some stuff to him. And I know I'd sent him a couple wheels and stuff, and he was trying them out. He was actually makes the game more difficult, racing games, if you're not used to using the wheels, because I actually had a huge PS1 wheel I sent him too. They had the pedals, and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Not compatible with PS2, unfortunately, but he did try it out. But, yeah, the Panzer Dragoon, man, with the flight stick was actually very awesome, and it's great. Hopefully we see more Saturn games, like that come out, whether it's a physical release or just, the digital is fine to me for many of these. Like, just the ability to play it with ease is always a big factor.
Yeah, it's cool. I like that we have like some of these Saturn games come out and get remade. I'd love to see another port of Nights in the Dreams and Daytona USA, and but it was a good remake. I had a lot of fun playing it. It looks really nice. The controls they have two separate kinds of controls. They have a modern control and a classic. If you play like classic, it's kind of like playing it on the Saturn. And I didn't realize this because I hadn't played it in so long that on the Saturn version, you actually had to hit the shoulder buttons to turn the dragon.
Yeah.
I was like, oh wow, I forgot about this.
Archaic stuff, man.
Yeah. It was very weird, like getting used to that, because I'm so used to using like an extra controller to turn around. And I will say, anyone who's never played Panzer Dragoon, definitely check it out. Not to be confused with Panzer Dragoon Saga, which is more of an RPG. This is more of an on-rails, like Star Fox meets Dragons kind of shooter game.
Yeah, maybe if you played the Panzer Dragoon, the Zwei on original Xbox, which was a great game. It's more in tune with that. You had 1, 2, Zwei, and then, like you said, the Saga. That is one of the infamous, few $100 games on the Saturn that nobody can afford and everybody's trying to get. That's one of those completely different games. But yeah, if you're into more flight games, that you want to be flying on a dragon, because who doesn't? Kind of like Never-Ending Story on that big white dog in dragon form. It's a good time.
Yeah, definitely. And getting into the main part of the show, we're pretty much catching up on this episode. It's been about a month since our last episode, and we've done a lot since then. And James, I'm going to be asking you, like, what have you been up to? What's been going on?
Well, as everybody knows, mentioned that's a big focus on this episode is, the pandemic, the virus, everything going on. So many people's work schedules, have been affected. Same thing, we've had a little bit of trouble, getting on schedules with the episodes, but, both of us were like, man, we really need to get something out because a lot of people are at home. And, hopefully you guys want to, check it out and give you something to listen to. But, for me, it's been a little bit business as usual. As many know, I work at the post office, and they obviously are not stopping. You can see a few changes. We get lots of updates every day. We've had things change on signatures. Before, we're like, you have a signature item and the customer would sign for it. Now we just, ask them, whoever's taking it, we ask their name, and like we sign it ourselves for them, I guess, just to prevent, pens being passed back and forth. Very more self-conscious with, and I don't wear gloves all day. I have quite a few businesses at the start of my route, which also is, man, time's gone on. You see it go from, it's like they're just taking orders in drive-through and takeout. You can go in to where a lot of them, doors are closed. Sometimes you can't go in. I deliver to a couple of banks. I have to sit and wait in line, with other people at the window, nonetheless, because mail doesn't really fit in those little tubes that you send through. I tried that one time and I had to crinkle it up really bad. And I don't.
You just shrug your shoulders and drive away. Like, sorry, guys.
I'm not like that. I'm not one of those guys who's going to cram something really big into your mailbox. I'm not going to do that because I think it looks bad. I have some professionalism to this. But when I realized how much I had to scrunch up that mail to fit in the tube that one time, I was like, I guess I'll wait in line. Now, I'm not going to wait too long, but I will wait, a little bit. But, I've seen a lot of change with that. My shopping center, man, so many stores are just closed. My wife, who does tattoos, they closed up last Wednesday. At 5:00 was the order in North Carolina, at least, for hair salons, nail salons, tattoo parlors, things like that, that are deemed non-essential. And these are a lot of people that still, like they're not getting a check. And that's one of the things I hate. I'm glad to see things about these stimulus packages coming out because people need help. There was no control. You can't tell somebody like, oh, you should have saved more for this or that. Like, I don't really believe in that because most people, at the end of it are about a $500 big ass bill from just being knocked out of everything. And that's a lot of people. Many don't realize that. Like I said, I'm still working. If something happened to my work, I have leave, which I'm very thankful for. And my wife, she's been very frugal. She's saved a lot, which is awesome. And like I said, I'm still working. We're getting a tax return. So I feel very fortunate, during this time. And, I don't mind working. Like I said, I try to take precautions, especially the shopping center areas. Some more, I wear gloves. I do that. And even thinking more if you go into stores, I wear gloves if I go to the ATM. Some stores aren't taking cash. You just use your card. But if you use your card, sometimes you still got to do that punch pad. And who knows how many people touch that.
Yeah.
So I do highly recommend people just, get some rubber gloves. If you have them, just carry them around with you. And, just think a little bit more. You got to be a little bit more careful. But it's like I said, I've still been, ordering some things. I know some things have, taken a turn. They say, I think Amazon is only working on more essential items. I still see lots of, other things coming out, but, I have ordered a few games along the way, but, I try to stay inside as much as possible. They actually, North Carolina also did that stay-at-home ordinance. But when you look at it, it's like, well, you can still go to the grocery store. You can still get food. You get the ABC. I'm like, well, so what exactly can't I do? The work, I will say, work did tell us the other day to take our ID badge with us at all times.
Yep.
I usually leave mine at work so I don't lose it. That's why I leave it there, because I scan in with my scanner on my badge. But I've been taking it with me, I guess, in case, the man decides to pull me over in the morning and ask me where I'm going. I can just pull out my badge and be like, I got to pass. I can do that. But it's just, it's very crazy. And I know where you work, has been a very essential asset too.
Yeah. It's been crazy. I will say one of the things that this whole thing made me think of, though, and I made a post about it on Facebook, and I think some people got the wrong idea, because I was like, shout out to streaming services and digital gaming, because right now, I'm thinking about, imagine if this would have happened back in, the early 2000s or the 90s or the 80s.
You're not going to Blockbuster. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just imagine the way because I was talking about it, some people well, I got a huge collection of backlog. I have nothing to. I'm like, no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you don't have what you have right now, and you wanted something that's not essential, you can't get it right now. If you want a new video game and you want to buy a physical copy of it, chances are you can't get it unless you go to Walmart or something like that, because Walmart's still open. So I am so thankful that we have all these digital marketplaces that, it's like, oh, I want to get Animal Crossing. I can't get it anywhere else. Boom, I can get it on the eShop, or you can watch Tiger King on Netflix. You don't have to go to Blockbusters and rent like a huge VHS collection set of Tiger King or something.
Or a red box. Who knows who's touching that, man?
Oh God. So yeah, I mean it's so nice that we have the convenience, and I mean even movies that are in theaters right now. I know Universal did something with Demand that you can go and rent movies that are still in theaters on demand right now. A matter of fact, I think me and Kimberly's going to check out Invisible Man soon.
Yeah, I've heard that's
check that
really cool.
That's what I heard.
I'm sure there's more. There was at least 3 movies I saw listed, and even the price. And some people are like, "Oh, because the price is $20." But like, come on, man! If you went to the theater, like, who knows how much you're going to end up spending? You can watch it at home. I think $20 to me for a theater movie, that's a very fair price. Yeah, very fair. And it's just really awesome that they're doing that, because, like you said, once again, theaters shut down. It's just that, we know GameStop, at last I heard, I don't know if they end up getting hit with a close down in some areas, but they were doing more of a curbside to where you can't go in, but you can order it online, because, they were trying to hold out as an essential personnel. And many people were worried just because of that whole, and like, as you said with your post, that was even more of a safety thing, to where, like, you don't have to go to a store. You don't have to worry about touching who knows how many people touched or sneezed on this.
Yeah.
When that's digital, that's like, I'm sorry, you're not catching anything from a fucking digital purpose.
And I will say being a former GameStop employee, well, I have to correct myself. I was a Babbage's employee. When I worked at Babbage's, the customers there were pretty gross. Even without the pandemic going on right now, there were plenty of times that people would sneeze and like touch numerous like games, and you had to advertise the whole PS2 section, which was like 3 shelves alone, and people would be like coughing, and then like I'm just thinking about, my man, it's already kind of easy to catch a cold anyway at a place like that. I can only imagine with the pandemic. So I know my friend John, Retro Bro, he was telling me down in Pennsylvania, like GameStop was refusing to close because they were saying they were essential, and Pennsylvania actually pulled their business license.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's one where they should have been from the start. If some are still doing that curbside, as many restaurants do. Like I said, if somebody orders something online, check up with them. I mean, you want to do that because people are still going to want games. And at the same time, where there's that danger, at least if you've only got the employees in the store, once again, who knows what they may have. But still, that's a lesser chance than if you go in there. And I can see, a lot of people would still be in that store. A lot of people are still going to go try to trade in their, 2013 sports games and get a buck to get Doom. Like I said, there are new games coming out still, and people do want them. But instead of, they kind of just came across more as an, as an asshole.
Yeah.
As far as, we have to stay open. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, they're forcing their employees to work. Now, on the one hand, hey, man, some employees might want to work. I don't know a whole lot of people that really can afford to not work, hence we're talking about hopefully where the stimulus thing goes out, because people need money. You can't tell people, hey, you can't work, and not help them out, because a lot of people do want to work. I've seen a lot of people that work at the post office, and they have this little thing around their profile pic on Facebook that says, I can't stay home, I work at the post office. Well, a lot of those people that are putting that up are part-time, and I'm sorry, if you were staying home, you probably wouldn't be getting paid. I got leave. I got months of leave, and it's because I don't abuse it, and I save it up, and I'm thankful for having that, just in case. I've had eye surgeries in the past. Who knows? I'm old now. I might have to have a hip replaced or something like that. So I got the time, but it's just like, I understand, like, and I don't mind if people, were forced to stay home from work, but people do need help. And, apparently that, that is coming out. Something got passed. I've seen some criticism on it. I don't know the full details, but at the end, I want people to get some type of help during this time, because even though many people, about 65% of things I think are kind of, qualified as essential, you think of those hair salons, nail salons. Like, so my wife, tattoo artist, who get hit up a lot, and not all of them, managed to save up like she did. So,
Yeah.
it's like, well, like, we're in a good spot, but it's one of those things where I worry. I worry for other people. And if things like this take too long, you can see like people, gun stores, dude. Gun stores are running out of guns and ammo. They're closing up because they don't have any more. Because people, like I said, if you really sit and think about it, this can be a scary time. Not gonna lie. My wife asked me, "Hey, do you got ammo?" And I'm like, I could probably use a little bit more. I'm not a big gun nut, but I got a couple things that I've just had, and we got a little bit of extra ammo too, just in case. And I mean,
Yeah.
Like when she asked that to me, because that's not something we talk about. We don't talk about the guns and ammo a whole lot. And she went and got some, and that just kind of tells you like it's a bit of a scary time. Because we don't know how long this will go on, but a good bit of time, just people being more careful and we end up learning. Like, I don't know, man. I'd be thinking about gloves probably from now on when this is over. Because let me tell you a little story. You go to an ATM and you got gloves on, and it's like you're still putting your card in, and then you're tapping on the screen, but then you got to pull your card out. But it's like you might take your glove off, but then it's like, well, I touched it with this other glove. It just, oh man. I just, hope the world decides to sanitize this a little bit more after everything, and people think. Like, I really could see us looking a little bit more, even like Yakuza, when you walk around and people got the face masks on.
Yeah.
That could be a normal thing. I watch New Japan Wrestling. People in the crowd forever. They wear these masks in tight-knit environments like that. And it's really smart. Like I said, I think gloves for employees, people, like, we're going to see more of that, as time goes on. It's just, it's going to be a big learning experience at the end, and it will change things, so.
Indeed. And, I will say to folks that are, staying in and stuff right now, and unfortunately, if you can't work right now, to make a lighter of the situation, now it's time to tackle that backlog. There's so many people that I've been like talking to, and they're like, "Man, I'm going back and playing some of these RPGs. Animal Crossing is huge right now. I think Animal Crossing is one of the most important games that people need right now because it's that you still get that interaction, and it's just relaxing, and it's such an escapism game. I was actually on the fence about it. Like, I'm a big fan of Animal Crossing. At first, I wasn't going to get it, but I was like, I'll go ahead and get it. So I went and bought it, and I've been having a lot of fun with that every day. And, it's kind of nice because it gives you something to escape and look forward to every day. When you, like, you wake up in the morning like, oh, I need to check on my town, see what's going on. There's something new every day that happens. And right now it's like my one of my shops is upgrading, so I can't shop there right now because it's under construction. So I'm not really going to play too much Animal Crossing the day before work. But I was like, oh man, that kind of sucks. Oh well. But I've been enjoying seeing all the posts from Animal Crossing from people, like some of the stuff that people has been making, and the rooms and the clothes. It's freaking amazing, dude. It's awesome.
Yeah, it really seems like they did a good thing with that. Like, I had the last one on 3DS. That was the first one I ever really played. And, and we remember early on Animal Crossing, that was the way to play, classic Nintendo games. Originally on the GameCube, that was the forefather of that. And it's one, I got on and I played it for a little bit. And I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's like I still think about getting this new one too. And this time it's like, well, you still kind of got to go to work on there. I'm like, well, I'm still working. And I'm like, I don't know. It's kind of tearing me a little bit.
It's not for everyone. Like, that's the thing, and I think that's something definitely to address. It's a game that's not for everybody, and for people that aren't into Animal Crossing, that's okay because I mean it does take. It's almost like essentially working sometimes because like you get up. You go check your town, see how the villagers are doing, shake some trees, get some fruit, hustle that mortgage, catch some fossils, fish. And if you want to do something like that without all the responsibility, go play a Yakuza game.
Yeah, and you can kick somebody's ass along with it too if you're angry. You
Actually, big shout out to Ryan. I don't know if you noticed this on Facebook. Our friend Ryan, he was posting him and his wife were having a date, and I think they were using Yakuza for the date. Like they were
Yeah,
they were bowling and doing darts, and they're like, yeah, we're at our own bar right now. Like that is freaking awesome.
yeah. Everybody's asking, like, what is that on the, like Wii? Or they're like, oh, no. It's like it's on Yakuza. It's like it's not mini games. You can go play golf.
Yeah.
And hey, for you guys that got the collection, I'm still gonna go back. My favorite fishing is on part 5. You can go hunting and fishing on that one. But if you guys played 0, I thought the fishing just kind of declined. But man, I love the fishing so much on 5. Like it was just so fun. You can go into little, that little river that runs through the main town. You could fish there. There was, some other areas you could go, and there was some other dudes sitting there. And you're just like, hey, it's like let's fish together. And it was just that was so fun and relaxing. So yeah, Yakuza is a great just escape. You can work some on it, you can play some on it, you can kind of go outside, in your own version of it.
I would say that would be a good like quarantine escapism game is Yakuza. As a matter of fact, folks that have Game
Pass, you can
Pass,
talk to girls on there too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just saying.
As a matter of fact, if you have Game Pass right now on Xbox, you can play Yakuza 0.
That is big news, actually, too. Yeah. Speaking of news, for the first time, it's available on Xbox.
Yep.
Which is for years. That helped my loyalty, to PlayStation. When I got a PS3, it was like, well, Yakuza 3's on there. I want to play that. That was me in the early days of Yakuza. So, of course, I had to get that, and that was spurring that. But I'm really glad everybody can play it now. So if you are an Xbox fanboy, like I said, no insult, meant right there. If you're an Xbox fan, now you can play this game you never got to play before. That other people, as we've seen, are loving it. Like I said, I'm blown away. I've been blown away by all you guys that play this game more than I do now. It's just, and I don't want to be that. Oh, it's that thing. It's like when Metallica started to suck and everybody loved them. It's not like that,
Yeah, you're not. You're like the total opposite of gatekeeping.
I'm not mad about
you open up those gates and you're like, come on in, guys, because you think about it, and what's so funny about the whole Yakuza phenomenon is when we first started this podcast, Yakuza 5 was just over the horizon. We weren't even sure if it was going to come out. I remember that was a series you talked about, and I wish I could go back to those old episodes when I was just like, oh yeah, I've heard of Yakuza. I thought it was just a Grand Theft Auto clone, and you're like, no, so much more than that. And now here we are, 7-8 years later, and it's every 4 months we're getting a Yakuza game.
Yeah. It's almost too much. I'm impressed with you guys that play, 0 to Kiwami 2. You're getting the collection. You're going through every single one. I had that privilege of those games being spaced out over a few years, since 2005. I had that time period, as you mentioned, where I didn't know if we were ever going to get 5. I boycotted Sega, I was like, I'm not buying any of the Sega shit anymore. And it finally came out. It was people wanted it. It was that things that, Sony was doing. We're trying to bring over more games that people wanted. And it was on a poll, and people, wanted that game. And it was amazing. And with that thing of 5 coming out, and then it just blew up. And I guess maybe having it on that newer system, really helped to where people were able to, jump into it. But like I said, it's cool, man, because people playing these games back to back. And I almost wonder, could I have done that? I wonder, would I have loved this series as much if it had been just game after game after game, to where I had a few years in between, where I was waiting for it, had to get the new system. I always wondered, but, it doesn't take away from my love from it. And I'm so glad to see it, getting the props I think it really deserves, because it really did. It blew up, man, to where it seems like everybody I ever mentioned it to, or maybe listened to this show at least, fucking played it. I like to think I'm the crux of many people trying it out in general, that I know either, through the show or just on Facebook game groups, and everybody's playing it. I mean, it's just been, just insane, and then like it's just not stopping. And we got that new RPG semi style, which like just because it's so different, I'm actually really looking forward to that one too.
Yeah, I've almost because I have a Japanese I have a Japanese account on Sony, and I almost felt like logging in and downloading the Yakuza 7 demo because the demo's on there. I've thought about it, but at the same time, it's like it'd almost be like when I was playing Judgment. I played the demo to that, the Japanese demo, and
Ooh,
it was fun for what it was, but like I didn't like the fact that I didn't know what was going on. Like that,
yeah.
what I got mostly from the Judgment or Judge Eyes demo was a grasp on what to expect and the battle system, and that was pretty much it. And with Yakuza 7 being more of a turn-based RPG, I really got to know what I'm doing other than just pressing X.
Yeah, I'd really love to see too the few games from the PS3 era that were the samurai based style games.
Yeah.
Man, and more than anything, I would love to see those come out because like I own one of them, and it's still very hard to play because like I just don't want to sit with a guide, on my phone
it kind of
and
takes
look
it
and
out.
play it. I would love to see that, and probably one that many people still don't know about. I've probably mentioned before, and I've never played it. Is the Black? I think it's is it Black? Well, Black Tiger was an old Capcom game. It might be Black Puma. It's Black, some type of big cat. Shout out to Joe Exotic, but it was on it was on PSP. And it was an offshoot. So, you're not Kiryu. You're someone else, maybe related to the gang. But it was a PSP series. It was 2 games. And like I said, it was only in Japan. So, you got PSP emulators, or, if you can find a translation of it, especially, like I said, look for, is it Black Tiger, Black Puma, something. Just look up Yakuza PSP. And I'm sure that would pop up. Like, so between that and the samurai games, man, I would have really loved. I tried to play those as long as I could, and like I said, I have them in my collection. Like, just to have them, it's still a fun one to get. Kind of based on Miyamoto Musashi, one of the legendary samurais, kind of based on like his family line. And I kind of hope one day those come out, but I think those might be just kind of lost in Japan. Like I don't really know if we'll ever get those, but like I said, maybe you guys can find some good emulation, or there's some translations of it out there, and give it a shot, because I think they'd be really cool to actually find a play. Maybe we get a collection, man. How awesome!
Yeah,
a collection of those two.
See, I could see that. I could see that. After Yakuza 7. I could see, a couple of months after that, all of a sudden, boom, we got the Samurai Yakuza game collection, like 2 games for like $40-$50. There you go.
I'd pay $100 probably for that, honestly. That's just throwing them Black Tiger or Puma games on there on the PSP as bonuses, man. And it's like I would definitely pay $100 for that, just to be able to have those and play them, because like they just kind of been in the back line. And still, we got fucking Dead Souls. Like I couldn't have this samurai game instead. Like, people love samurais. Come on.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Couldn't have done that.
Now, getting into like the tail end of this episode, we're going to be talking about games we've been playing. Because I don't know. I do know a little bit, James, of what you've been playing, because you've been posting on the XSGaming Podcast group page on Facebook, which you guys can join on facebook.com/group/XSGaming Podcast. You've been playing a lot of handhelds lately.
I have. I got, everyone knows I'm a big fan of Game Boy, and I really kind of got sucked back into it, just looking for some Japanese games on eBay. And it started off with a little 4-game pack. It was like $12. I got Kirby 2. I got Dead Heat Scramble, which sounds funny. It's kind of like an overhead race game, which is very cool. I got a friend Jared knew this game I got. It's Yu maybe Hakamoto or something. Yeah. Some kind of anime. It was a fighting game. And we know, Game Boy, not the greatest known for fighting games early on, but pretty decent. And then I got Cosmo Tank, which was an Atlas game. It was a just cool kind of first-person tank game. Well, actually, no, it starts off overhead, and then it goes, when you go into certain caves, it's first person. But that really just kicked off these Japanese Game Boy games, like this is really cool. And I know a lot you can emulate, and I'm actually not I kind of like to play my stuff on handheld still. Like, that's part of the charm of it for me, to where, like, playing it on the big screen is not really the big thing. But I found a pack of, like, 26 Japanese Game Boy Color games. And I got that. It was a pretty good price. Just a couple bucks per game. And some I could not play. I did find some good fighting games, probably in the past, about the Neo Geo Pocket Color, which I bought from you, which has some of the best handheld games. While the Game Boy is not quite as good, the Samurai Spirits, which is Samurai Showdown, was pretty decent, and their versions of the King of Fighters actually really good. Really, probably some of the best fighting game, I'd say, on original Game Boy. I'd say the Neo Geo is a little bit better, but they're pretty on par. And just for having that small screen, the 2 buttons. Awesome games. Kicked me once again into wrestling. Of course, everybody knows I love, so I decided I needed every wrestling game on the handheld, and there's quite a few in Japan, which I did get. Let's see, I even got my little stack. I hear these things rattling around. Actually, it's not Japanese, but one of the earlier wrestling games on Game Boy, How Wrestling, predated WWF Superstars. Which WWF Superstars is still probably the best wrestling game on Game Boy. But How Wrestling was a game I always wanted as a kid. I still just wanted to play it because it was wrestling. So I finally bought the cart. And it's tough, man. It's a tough game. But I think I would have liked it more as a kid. I also got Pocket Pro Wrestling, this Game Boy Color game, which to me looks amazing, man. Like, you can throw people like vertically and horizontally against the ropes, which was like a pretty big thing in a system like this. Superplexes, turnbuckle moves. It's hard as shit. I have not done a single move other than an elbow. Really, I got my ass kicked every time, but I really enjoyed it. I found a New Japan wrestling game, which also is very good. And I also got another game called Pro Wrestling on the Game Boy, which unfortunately is just How Wrestling in Japanese form. And then I did get a couple of older games. Karateka. It was a predecessor to Prince of Persia, which is a very cool game. I like the Famicom version a lot. That was where I first played it. And I got that. That was a UK game. And I got Boulder Dash. And I actually have a long story with Boulder Dash, but it's for Jared. And Jared, I promise I'm going to do it next episode, because we've just been blabbing for a while. I want to make sure Xander is able to get to work, but I promise it's on my Atari 800 XL, and I owe you that story. But Boulder Dash is it was almost like Mario to me, as far as like just a childhood favorite. On the Atari 800, it was like a little bug dude. He would tap his foot when you waited too long, predating Sonic, by many years. Who did that. But, to play Boulder Dash again on the handheld is very awesome. And like I said, I've been going through a ton, but I'll end it with 2 slightly newer ones. It's a very new series to me, which I've always heard about. It was this Shaman King on the GBA.
Oh, yeah. That's also an anime.
It's made by Konami, yeah, based on anime. And I've always heard one of the Castlevania guys worked on it. It might have been the one that did Circle of the Moon. It's not Iga.
Yeah.
It wasn't him, but one of the Vanya guys worked on it. And I bought 2 of them. They were about $10 a piece. But Master of Spirits is the first one I plugged in. Honestly, dude, I loved it right away. I'd recommend it on any emulators or things like that. Xander, you'd really like this. It so far it doesn't have as a big a scoping landscape. It's kind of like the castles in Castlevania. It seems a little bit more kind of like level based, almost like a Mario map where you pick your stage and you go to. But it still has that Metroidvania feel, and you got some of the little superpowers. I'm still trying to figure out. I started it. I'm probably going to restart it again. And I might even look up some tips, because kind of like the card system in Circle of the Moon, you have like a spirit system, which, we also had later Castlevanias. But honestly, like, if you're a fan of any of the GBA Castlevanias, I think Shaman King is, like I said, it's really cool. It's one I heard about, and honestly, as soon as I got it and played it, like, I really dug it, like, right away. Like, it's a fun game to play. And like I said, I'd recommend checking those out. Emulators or, buying the cart, whatever you want to do. Oh, and let me tell you, I'll finish this one more. Okay, the only 2 Game Boy games I've ever had that did not work was WrestleMania 2000. It was a Game Boy Color game. I bought 2 copies of this game. None of it worked. I bought one more copy on eBay during my Game Boy binge, and I really expected this game to be terrible. But when I finally played it, and it actually worked, actually pretty fun game. It was made by Natsume. They made a couple of ninja games on the NES. They had a wrestling game. They were fairly known for a wrestling game on the Super NES at Natsume Pro Wrestling, which is pretty good. And I was really blown away just by the fact that it was not terrible. Has some flaws because, like, when you hit back, you turn around and walk away, which makes absolutely no sense in a wrestling game at all. But I'll forgive it because I finally got to play it after buying my 3rd copy for $5, and it finally worked. And so it does nowhere near the N64 version, of course, of WrestleMania 2000. But hey, for Game Boy Color, it's okay.
Awesome. Well, my list is a little shorter. I do want to say one of the things that I've done, and I'm actually going to make a video on it, is I bought a Amazon Fire HD8 tablet.
That looked awesome.
Yeah, and so I've been putting some emulators on it, and I haven't been playing too much like emulation on it, other than just like tinkering with it. I did play some like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 on it, and because I got it synced up to my PS4 controller, so I mean it's nice for PlayStation 1. It plays Dreamcast really well. N64 is still a little shoddy. I feel like some of the games may not work as well as others. I did get WCW NWO Revenge working, and that was a lot of fun. And
I know I recommended a Fighter's Destiny 1 and 2. If they managed to work well, try those out, man. They're really cool.
So I've been tinkering with that, playing Animal Crossing. My Switch hasn't updated yet to tell me how many hours I've logged into Animal Crossing. I'm kind of scared to see because I've been playing a lot of it. And I played the Resident Evil 3 demo. I actually played that yesterday. A little bit late to the ball game on that, but it was kind of it was fun. It was really funny because my girlfriend got actually really scared watching me play it because of all the jump scares with the zombies, and it's a very dark game, and I don't mean that like narratively. I mean like look wise, like it's a very dark game, and I feel like the bullet mechanics are a little harder in this one compared to Resident Evil 2 Remake. I feel like it took a little more gunshots to the leg of zombies to knock them down, and I feel like Jill's aim was kind of off. Maybe it was just me. I hadn't played one of those games in a long time. But that was a lot of fun. I hadn't finished the demo. I hadn't got to Nemesis or anything like that. And then I also got a couple of games. I got Dragon Quest 11. I finally got that. I got a collection of Mana that I haven't even played yet. Yoshi's Crafted World. I have played that. I actually made a video not too long ago about talking about games I've been playing, and I mentioned Craft World. Not as good as Woolly World, but it's not a bad game. I think it's geared towards people that like those really relaxing platformers like Kirby games. I feel like if you like Kirby, you would like Crafted World a lot. It's not bad. But yeah, I mean that's. Oh yeah, Yakuza 5. I've been playing Yakuza 5 on the collection. I can't remember if we talked about that in the last episode.
No, I don't think it had come out actually since the last.
Yeah,
episode.
I bought the collection, and I've been playing Yakuza 5, and right now I'm playing as Majima's brother in prison. I think he's about to break out soon.
It's a little bit more slow moving. He's gonna have the hunting parts.
Yeah,
which is not bad, dude. I like I said, I dug the hunting, and please let me know when you go fishing because I think the fishing in the game is the best.
Yeah, right now, like the last time I played was like his second.
Sajima.
His second daydream or whatever. Where those guys were like, "Hey, let's daydream when we were back in town and doing things," and it's kind of cool, like going back in like this imagination world.
I like his style too, man. I mean, it's very it's like your Hagar in Final Fight. He's muscle guy. But when you get used to it and you learn how to use him, he's pretty fun. And it's funny because the big dude, he's the one with all the stealth missions, which was always kind of odd, but and I hate stealth. I hope everybody knows, like, I always hate stealth in games. Like, it was good in Batman, and I can tolerate it. in Yakuza, and that's about it. And once again, I think they did everything, pretty good. Like, there's nothing in there that's gonna like make you want to like rage quit. Like, I never got mad sneaking around sewers and killing animals.
Yeah. But I mean, that's been pretty much my gaming. I will say before I close this, guys, that if you are listening to us on any other platform, you can check us out on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, and of course youtube.com/Xander Skullion. And iHeartRadio, if I hadn't mentioned that yet, you can listen to us there. And also, I do have a Teespring now. I'm selling some T-shirts. I sold a couple of Kevin Savage T-shirts. I got some excess gaming coffee mugs, and I actually had this one shirt that I thought was really cool. Kind of an inside joke if you listen to our podcast. It's the East Coast, and it shows a hurricane, and inside the hurricane's Ryu doing his hurricane kick.
Yeah, I might have to buy that one.
That's a huge inside joke because
how did we not talk about the weather this episode?
Because we haven't been outside enough.
That's right.
But I will say it's been really warm lately. I'm not a big fan of it.
I got the AC running right now. It's going to cool down the next few days, apparently.
Indeed. It's been really pretty outside, but yeah, guys. I think this concludes another episode of XSGaming Podcast. Again, guys, thank you for checking out this episode. And if you have nothing else to do, you can always go back on our backlog, especially on YouTube.com/XanderScully, and listen to our archived episodes. And as always, guys, happy gaming.
And I'm gonna throw one final thing out too. If you got some tax money coming in, you want to play some handheld games like me, I'm looking forward to the Pocket Analog. I meant to bring up earlier, but it's an HD Game Boy. It plays GB, GBC, GBA. It's going to have adapters for Game Gear, Lynx, Neo Geo Pocket Color. It's got a Nano Loop thing built in, which is a synthesizer and something else so you can like make music on it. I don't know if it's like a chiptune thing, but it sounds really really cool. I mean, it's like a $200 price tag, which is a little high. It looks like a Game Boy, but completely folded out, not like the SP. It kind of looks like a more slick lined old school one, which actually looks really cool. But other than that, I hope you all are well. Have a pleasant evening, and I'm a pretty woman lover. I'm an ugly woman's dream. Check out Tiger King.
Yes,
free him. and we'll see you guys hopefully sooner than later. Take care.